Our hair becomes white. So the meaning of the song is to remind of us the impermanence of life, of the nature. Everything is changing. The forest is changing. The river is changing. The ocean is changing. Now the Venerable Nun will come up to say something. Namo Sakyamuni Buddhaya. Most venerables, distinguished guests. Today we have passed the fourth day of the week-long conference. I know that the abbot of the temples are worried about their temples when they are absent from the temple to be here. I also know that the lay Buddhists are also worried about their family work, the family life, about their husband and children at home. So everyone has problems, but we try to overcome it all so that we can attend this meaningful, joyful, and successful conference. On the occasion of the New Year 2010, we pray the triple gem, the Buddha, the Dhamma, the Sangha, to bless you from all directions, to be peaceful and joy in the new year. Dạ ai vậy? Dạ đang ở trên kìa.
Very.
Hello. What? Her ID is at Tom Bin D15.
My God.
Tom Bin and D Tai Chi.
Oh.
What are you doing?
Okay.
What are you doing? I said Tai Chi. Really?
You didn't know that I was a Wushu master.
shooting happened,
Oh,
they
that's
said
the
it in the
one.
men's hall. That's the one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bởi vì cái này có
The second, the
cái
second one.
đó thì không có đạo gì đâu.
They want to actually.
Tại
They
sao
want to
lại
come and talk to you. But
mà đọc ngắn là chị nghĩ chị nghĩ gì?
And then on the right, and all sentient beings surrounding us, and imagine ourselves as temporary at all costs, wholeheartedly take that.
Đức Phật ban thử trị chúng ta và xung quanh chúng ta là những bà con các con quyến thuộc. Và đó là các ham thiên và sư cô hướng dẫn sáng hôm nay. Con xin hiện đại và kính công phận như trưởng như sư và quý và Phật tử ở cùng thì sự cùng người lớn chứ không phải là cùng thân. Cho nên là có lẽ con sẽ đưa sư cô hãy nhận cái thân một sư như sư.
So now in this way we renewed our reliance on the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha in the morning of the New Year.
Và sau khi tùng tam quy, như vậy chúng ta đã làm mới lại đức tin và sự nương tựa của chúng ta đối với Tam Bảo bắt đầu sáng. Nếu như có những cái khó khăn trở ngại nào thì với đức tin nơi Tam Bảo chúng ta có thể vượt qua một cách dễ dàng hơn.
But the best way to bring happiness in our lives and also to those of others is to practice enlightenment thought, which is the wish to attain enlightenment for the benefit of others.
Nhưng mà cái phương pháp tốt nhất để mà có được sự an vui và hạnh phúc đó chính là phương pháp hành thiền để đi đến sự giác ngộ.
True happiness in this year and every future vacation is very good, but
nói hướng Đức Phật, chúng ta cũng thực hành hành bố thí, chúng ta cũng bố thí cơm, áo, thuốc men, vật dụng, nhưng chừng đó chưa đủ.
the best way to bring true happiness to oneself and others is not to stop with limited ordinary. Like when an ordinary girl becomes a mother, she suddenly develops great power and strength in order to help her child.
Và khi một vị Bồ Tát mà có đủ đại hùng đại lực thì vị Bồ Tát đó có thể thương yêu và cứu giúp tất cả chúng sanh như người mẹ thương yêu và cứu. Thực tập hành Bồ Tát, chúng ta xem tất cả chúng sanh đều là và chúng ta đang đi trên con đường đến quả vị Phật.
The power that allows a mother
Tâm từ bi và hành nhận này nó sẽ có
to develop our enlightenment thought, our resolution to work for the benefit of all sentient beings to attain enlightenment.
Và sáng hôm nay, một ngày đầu năm, đó là lời đại nguyện quyết tâm trở thành một vị Phật để cứu độ tất cả chúng sanh.
In the Tibetan tradition, we say this by these words, and then I'll recite them in English.
Trước hết thì sư cô sẽ đọc lời nguyện đó trong tiếng Tây Tạng.
By the merit of giving and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all beings.
Do
Practicing the six perfections in our daily life,
This is not correct.
Quý Phật tử, quý đại biểu vỗ tay thêm một lần nữa. Best wish for happy New Year. Và xin cảm ơn, xin cung thỉnh thị trưởng cũng như ni sư về vị trí an toàn. Đặc biệt ông Bùi Hữu Dược.
Các tham luận viên trong buổi sáng hôm nay gồm có Bhikkhuni Tỳ Kheo Ni Dhammavana ở Thái Lan, giáo sư Supra Baru Babakadi đến từ Ấn Độ, Suri Jatana Johanneshen và Thích Nữ Như Nguyệt, báo cáo viên, giảng viên Học viện Phật giáo Việt Nam và sẽ được báo cáo trong buổi sáng hôm nay.
What? That person. I don't see it, no. I don't know what to do. We have been exploring the lives of eminent Buddhist women in other centuries, and now with this panel, we're going to move to eminent Buddhist women of the 20th century. Maybe I should stand up. Yeah. Our first panelist is the Venerable Bhikkhuni Dhammananda, formerly Chatsumarn Kabul Singh. She received her doctorate from Magadha University in Bodh Gaya, India, and was a professor of philosophy at Thammasat University in Bangkok for many years. She currently devotes her energy to training programs for nuns at Song Dhamma Kalyani Temple and works to establish the lineage of full ordination for women in Thailand. And the title of her paper is Bhikkhuni Tao Phachi, the first bhikkhuni in Thailand.
Allow me to begin my morning session, the first session of the year, by reciting Mahapajapati Gautami's blessing to all of us. Ratan yunang bhikkhuni nang gautami chinnamatu cha thapita akhatha namhi satha sothingaro tuno. We bow to Mahapajapati, the first bhikkhuni. She was foremost in her being the first bhikkhuni. Our leader. I have to read my paper now, so forgive me for not being connected to you directly. page number 142. Thailand has been a Buddhist country for more than 700 years. In spite of the fact that it has highest percentage of Buddhists of any country in the world, Thailand cannot claim to be Majjhima Desha in the true sense. As His Holiness Dalai Lama has often said, for a country to be a central land, it must have a complete fourfold Buddhist society, as established by the Buddha. Unfortunately, Thailand lacks the Bhikkhuni Sangha. The first attempt was by Narin Pasit, who gave ordination to his two daughters. But due to his own political involvement, the ordination was rejected. This resulted in an order of the Sangharaja, 1928. He forbid Thai monks to give any level of ordination. Waramai Kabila Singh in 1956. She became fully ordained in Taiwan in the year 1971 and thus became the first Thai bhikkhuni in history. This paper documents Bhikkhuni Waramai Kabila Singh's life and her work to pave the way for the third of bhikkhunis. It is not easy to be objective in writing about one's own mother. Still, in trying to understand the history of development of bhikkhunis in different countries, it becomes inevitable to record the story of her life, not as historian of Buddhism, but also as a dutiful daughter. Bhikkhuni Ta Tao, that was the name she received after her ordination. She was born in 1900, and in 1932, while teaching, she joined a group of Boy Scouts who were traveling to Singapore. Some of them from Singapore. She traveled to Singapore on bicycle and took her 29 days. This was to show evidence that women were capable of the same that men can do. She was even though she had never heard of the word. Her marriage. She was courted by Gorkiet Satasen, the son of a wealthy family from the south of Thailand. During the war, the Japanese had an idea of getting Japanese marry Thai women, and she was in the list. So to decide to be ordained, and that in 1942. I skip to page 144. The spiritual path. The turning point in her life came in 1954. She was going to have an operation, but a meditation master who sent a message that she did not need the operation. She did not believe. She went through the operation to discover that there was no tumor that the doctor said she was having. She was impressed and put on and other engagements to pursue the meditation technique he taught her. In 1955, she began publishing a monthly magazine, which continued for 32 years. Through intensive study and practice of the teaching, she became increasingly and in 1956, she was ordained. I skip to page 145. For bhikkhuni in Thailand, it was inquiries and sought ordination as a bhikkhuni, but were closed. So she went to the esteemed bhikkhu, who was then in Bangkok. In 1956, she received ordination from him. I need to give you information. This senior monk was the king's teacher, and this was a real connection. I skip to page 146. Chatsuman, one of my in Canada, and came back with information to help actualize her mother's dream of becoming fully ordained bhikkhuni. In 1971, both went to Taiwan, and Waramai received full ordination to become the first bhikkhuni in Thailand. Hello? How is it? Good. Thank you. Thank you. Now, I am still on page. Her activities, because Bhikkuni not the Sanghakama, because they had a specific number of members, still continue temple activities, which included teaching that practicing meditation. When the second international was in Bangkok, 1991, Bhikkhuni, however, she received the sentence at Somayani Monastery and handed one of you a wooden rosary as a gift. The eminent Buddhist women teachers, at that time, I need to mention the name, Day4 from Taiwan, she passed. Bhikkhuni Hechun from Korea, she passed away now. And I, one founding member was there. In the you have Bhikkhuni Karmalekshya Somo, myself, and Raja Silva. So this gives you a glimpse of the history of Sakayadhita in a way. I am on page 147, passing the candle to the next generation. In one generation, by that I was already ordained, but still, so she asked Bhikkhuni Tatao, how many bhikkhunis would she like to see in her temple? With she said, one. And then she remembered, on a practical, she told us, do you have money to feed them? Then I reassured, yes, we will. Bhikkhuni Tatao lived her full life. 4 years old, she called and she said, I am now leaving. I said, it's not possible because this temple, Bhikkhuni temple, you cannot now. So she not. So the monastery, she passed away in the year 2003 when I was already fully ordained as Bhikkhuni. When she died, she was 95 years old. So Songtham Kalyani has been resident Bhikkhunis since 1971. And all those Bhikkhuni, that is Venerable Tata Fasi, 6 Bhikkhunis arrived. 6 more Bhikkhunis arrived. from Sri Lanka, from Indonesia, from Vietnam. There was one bhikkhuni from Vietnam. So we stayed together, 6 bhikkhunis under the of Sri Upajjhaya to train as bhikkhunis, to learn, to recite Patimokkha together. The candle has now passed to the of bhikkhunis with the hope that they will full that Bhikkhuni Tatao Fasu herself had laid the way. Sape ara anicca, everything is impermanent. Appamadena sampadeta. May all practice earnestly. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you very much, Venerable Dhammananda. Our next presenter is Subra Barura Pavagadi. She received a PhD in Buddhist Studies from Delhi University and is currently an associate professor in the Department of Buddhist Studies at Delhi University, where she teaches Theravada Buddhism. She has authored numerous articles on Buddhist philosophy and the role of women in Buddhist society. She is the author of the book Satya Sankepa and has co-edited various books and journals published by the Department of Buddhist Studies. She is devoted to community service and has been actively involved in various social and cultural organizations. Her paper is called Deepa Ma, Mother of Light, and it's on page 137.
Good morning, respected venerable monks and nuns and dear friends in Dhamma. It is a great honor for me to present a paper at 11thSakyadhita International Conference on Women. The title of my paper is Mother of Light. Deepa Ma, known as the Mother of Light, was truly an accomplished master in Theravada tradition. She is remembered not only for her seamless mindfulness and her direct instruction, but also for transmitting Dhamma through blessings. Lay practitioners often feel torn between spiritual practice and the requirements of family, work and social life. Perhaps the image of Deepa Ma can abide in our hearts as a reminder that we do not have to choose and can simultaneously carry out spiritual practice as well as our worldly life. No matter who showed up at her door or what state they were in, Deepa Ma reached out to all with love and affection. Deepa Ma was born on March 25, 1911 in Chittagong in what is now Bangladesh. The indigenous Buddhist culture, their traces is in lineage in an unbroken line back to the era of Buddha. Deepa Ma's real name was Nanibala Barua. As a child, she kept to herself and did not seek the company of other children. She was interested neither in cooking nor eating, but had a great quest for knowledge. In her free time, she enjoyed going to the temple and serving the monks. She recalled that her devotion came naturally and that her parents never urged it upon her. In India at that time, girls were married off at an early age, and thus at the age of 12, she was taken from school and married to a man of 25. Her husband, Rajani Ranjan, was an engineer from another village in the area. 1 week after marriage, her husband got a job in Myanmar and left her lonely and frightened among her new in-laws. 2 years later, at the age of 14, she went to Yangon to start a new life in a foreign country with a man she had known for just a week. However, Rajani was a caring, loving, and patient husband who refused to marry another girl even though his family insisted when she could not conceive after years of married life. He told her not to worry about having children and suggested that she treat every person she met as her own child. Deepa Ma often said that she considered Rajani her first teacher. When Nani was 18 years old, her mother had died suddenly, leaving behind an 18-month-old boy named Bijoy. Her father asked Nani and Rajani to accept the young boy as their own child. It was a blessing that her mother had given birth to Deepa after 24 years of not being able to conceive a child. Since then, she was given the nickname Deepa Ma, or Mother of Light, Deepa. Since Deepa meant light, Nani's new name meant Mother of Light. After Bijoy had grown up and left home, Rajani, her husband, died suddenly, leaving Deepa Ma devastated. She was so overcome with grief that she wanted to die as quickly as possible. I did not know what to do, where to go, or how to live, she said. I had nothing and no one to call my own. In the next few years, her health continued to decline. Then she realized that meditation was the only way she could save herself. Soon after, she dreamed of the Buddha softly chanting these verses from the Dhammapada. Clinging to what is dear brings sorrow. Clinging to what is dear brings fear. To one who is entirely free from endearment, there is no sorrow or fear. Awakening from dream, Deepa Ma felt a calm determination to devote herself fully to meditation practice. Early in the morning, during her first day at Kamayi Meditation Center in Rangoon, as she sat in meditation, her concentration rapidly deepened. Later, on her way to the meditation hall, she suddenly found herself unable to move. She realized that a dog had clamped its teeth around her leg and would not let go. Amazingly, her concentration had become so deep, even in those first few hours of practice, that she felt no pain. Eventually, the dog was pulled away by some monks. Deepa Ma went to a hospital for rabies injection and returned home to recuperate. Once home, following the instructions given to her during the short retreat at the meditation center, she patiently meditated moment by moment, committing herself to the diligent practice of awareness. Munindra, a family friend, introduced Deepa Ma, then 50 years old, to the renowned meditation teacher, Mahasi Sayadaw, at Tathana Yekata. The method taught at this center was Vipassana Bhavana, or insight meditation, based on Satipatthana Sutta. In this method, the practitioner contemplates by fixing his or her attention on the physical and mental phenomena, that is 5 aggregates or panchakhanda. These phenomena should be continuously contemplated and noted on every occasion of their arising in the body. Though these phenomena are obviously taking place at every moment of seeing, hearing, smelling, etc., in the 6 spheres of senses, it is not possible for a beginner to become mindful of all the occurrences in sequence as they arise. In Mahasi Sayadaw's particular method, mindfulness must be focused on the abdominal wall. With every inhalation of breath, there is a heaving of abdominal wall. This is due to increased tension and thrust in the abdominal cavity and is the manifestation of the characteristics of Vayodhatu. With every exhalation of breath, there is a falling of the abdominal wall. This is the result of lowering of tension and relaxation of the abdominal wall, which is again the manifestation of the characteristics of Vayodhatu in its waning phase. There is no need to put anything into words. One only needs to be mindful of what is being focused. The same principle is applied to standing, walking, sitting, bending, stretching, etc. Meditators must observe the mental impulse or intention which motivates the movement. When insight grows stronger, it will be seen that its impulse and the actual involvement of various components in the execution of particular movement or change of posture does not move from one place to another, but disappears with each completion of the specific movement or change. This clearly proves that all is impermanent and there is no individual I or atta which moves. One thus progressively derives direct experimental knowledge. By the 3rd day, with the guidance of her teacher, Deepa Ma entered into much deeper concentration and the need for sleep vanished, along with the desire to eat. She passed through the classic phases of progress insight that precede enlightenment. Then something extraordinary happened. A simple moment. It was daytime. She was sitting on the floor, practicing among a group of meditators. An instantaneous transition took place, so quiet and delicate that it seemed that if nothing at all happened. Of this luminous instance, Deepama was later to say simply, "I did not know," and yet in it her life had been profoundly and irrevocably transformed. All people who knew Deepama were amazed by her transformation. Almost overnight, she has changed from a sickly, dependent, grief-stricken woman into a healthy, independent, radiant being. In 1965, Deepama was drawn into a new dimension of spiritual practice. In anticipation of Munindra's return to India, the Venerable Mahasi Sayadav told his students that since he was going back to the land of siddhis or psychic power, they should know something about them. He wanted to train Munindra in practicing the siddhis, but Munindra was too involved in teaching to undertake siddhi practice himself. Instead, Munindra decided to train others, partly at an experiment to prove that siddhis were real. For this purpose, he chose his most advanced students, Deepama and her family, and trained them directly from the Visuddhi Magga. Munindra knew that psychic powers are not only amoral but also potentially seductive. There is a great risk of their misuse unless the student's moral development is secure. Deepama was chosen not only for her powers of concentration but also for her impeccable morality. Deepama was the most adept of all Munindra's students and the most playful. It has been said that she nonchalantly arrived at her interviews by walking through a wall or spontaneously materializing out of thin air, and then she came to master all 5 categories of supernatural abilities. In 1966, after Munindra left for India, Deepama became a guide in meditation and began teaching in Yangon. For one of her first students, Malati, a widow and single mother who had 6 young children, Deepama devised practices such as bringing complete presence of mind to the sensation of nursing her infant at her breast. Hello? Yes. In 1966, after Munindra left for India, Deepama became a guide in meditation and began teaching in Yangon. For one of her first students, Malati, a widow and a single mother who had 6 young children, Deepama devised practices such as bringing complete presence of mind to the sensation of nursing her infant at her breast. Malati could do these practices without having to leave her children. Just as Deepama had hoped, Malati attained the first stage of realization through practicing mindfulness when she nursed her baby. Deepama agreed that women often meet with many difficulties, but insisted that they could walk the path to emancipation. When you are born in this world, she told her student, Priti Moi Barua, you have to face many sufferings, especially if you are a woman. A woman's life is very difficult, but you need not worry about this. You must maintain your practice. You must not worry that you have to take care of your husband and children. If you are in the Dhamma, everything will happen through it. Everything will be solved through the Dhamma. She even thought that women could go deeper and more quickly into practice than men because their minds are soft. Deepama said, women's tendency to be more emotional is not a hindrance to practice. Just watch the emotions and don't identify. Increase the mindfulness of noticing and the concentration. For Deepama, there was simply the practice of being present, being fully awake all the time in every situation. She was a living demonstration that the true nature of mind is present. She has a very distinctive style as she urged her students to make every moment count and emphasize bringing mindfulness even to cooking, ironing, talking and all daily activities. She often said that the whole path of mindfulness is simply awareness of whatever you are doing. Always know that you are doing, she would say. You cannot separate meditation from life. In 1967, Deepama decided to move to Calcutta. Even ordained monks came to her advice for the practice. The Venerable Rashtrapal Mahathera, who by then had been a monk for 18 years, recalled that some disapproved of his choice of teachers, asking why after completing a doctoral degree he would practice meditation under a woman. I don't know the way he explained, but she knows so I will take help from her. I don't regard her as a woman. I think of her only as my master. He did a retreat under her guidance and experience for himself that he's only read about for 18 years. Deepa Ma gave him her blessing to teach, and 6 months later in 1970, he established the first Insight Meditation Center in India, the well-known International Meditation Center in Bodh Gaya. Joseph Goldstein, her first American student, in 1967, he was introduced by Munindra to Deepa Ma, and they maintained a loving mother-son relationship until her death. Then Joseph introduced his friend Sharon Salzberg to Deepa Ma in early 1970s. They refer to Deepa Ma as the most loving person I have ever met. Jack Cornfield also met her in late 1970. As these three persons were at that time teaching meditation in America, they invited Deepa Ma to guide the annual 3 months retreat at Insight Meditation Society in 1980 and again in 1984. By the time she died in 1989, Deepa Ma had hundreds of students from Calcutta and around the world. From the moment she arose each morning, she blessed everyone and everything she came in contact with, including animals and inanimate objects. She blessed every person she met from head to toe, blowing on them, who followed the Metta Sutta to the core. Her students remember being bathed in life, a feeling so strong and deep that they did not want it to ever end. Thank you.
Thank you for that wonderful presentation. Our next speaker is Shirley Jayanta Johansson. She has been a member of Sakyadhita since its inception in 1987. As the founder and president of Stretch Awareness in Canada, she teaches yoga and guides meditation retreats nationally and internationally. She is a founding member of the Calgary Theravadan Meditation Society, the Light of the Dhamma, the Canadian International Buddhist Foundation, the Yoga Association of Alberta, and the Canadian Iyengar Yoga Association. She has studied and practiced extensively in the Theravada forest meditation tradition, and she is a graduate of the community of Abhayagiri lay ministers. She produced a yoga video called Stretch, Breathe, Relax, and audio tapes Relaxation Circle and Meditation Circle. The title of her presentation is Heart of Life, Anagarika Dhammadina, on page 149.
Thank you, Sandy. I'd like to welcome all the venerables and all the participants of the conference, and a special thank you and much gratitude to Karma Lekshi for making this available for all of us. It's a real honor to be here and to honor my first teacher, Anagarika Dhammadina. I'm going to read most of this, and as Venerable Dhammananda said, it's a shame we have to read, but time is of essence. Anna Burian was born in a small town in Austria on January 2nd, 1913. She was the third of 8 children. Her parents were hardworking, simple people, endowed with a great sense of right and wrong. Life was difficult and became more so during the First World War and the years following. Anna was a free spirit, and she was very determined to break the mold, and did so by immigrating with her teenage son to Canada in 1951. She worked in British Columbia in Canada as a nurse. She taught at the Vancouver School of Art. She was a sculptress and an artist. She was a very avid swimmer, and she had a great interest in philosophy and mysticism. At the age of 47, she left Canada on a freighter all by herself and headed off to India. She had always had many spiritual questions, and this was her time to go looking for the answers to these questions that she'd had. So she traveled the highways and the byways of Asia for 6 years. That's how she used to describe it, traveling the highways and the byways. During her beginning years in India, she took sannyasin ordination with Swami Shivananda in Rishikesh. That's her on the right side. These teachings, however, didn't answer her spiritual quest, so she traveled to Sri Lanka, where she became deeply involved and committed to Buddhism. In 1964, she renounced the householder life and took the 10 precepts in Sri Lanka. Her teacher, the late Venerable Jnana Satatthara, gave her the Pali name Anagarika Dhammadina, and she became affectionately known to us, her students and her friends, as Anagarika, a term for a lay renunciate, a non-householder, or one who has left home to follow the spiritual path. Anagarika returned to Canada in 1965. She lived independently, so she was not affiliated with any temple or monastery. She wore brown robes, and she was passionately devoted to her Buddhist life. She had very strong beliefs, high expectations of herself, and a strong desire to transfer those strengths to others. The urge to help, to nurture, and to positively guide her, the people that were around her, was very much one of her trademarks. It wasn't long after returning from Sri Lanka that spiritual seekers, both men and women, were gathered round her. She greatly influenced people's lives by showing how the Buddhist teachings could be integrated with Western lay life. Her gentle manner, her good nature, and her groundedness inspired all who studied with her. She was very lively and calm at the same time. She could be very stern and friendly, same measure, and always concerned about the welfare of others. Students and friends remarked on her warmth and her compassion, and also on her uncompromising adherence to the original teachings of the Buddha. Loving kindness radiated from her. She had an inner glow, but she wouldn't hesitate in her no-nonsense way to point out one's weaknesses. She didn't tolerate pretense or fools. She was very practical and down-to-earth about life, and operated from her own natural insight and courage. At the same time, she had the ability to encourage meditation practitioners by listening patiently, non-judging, without discrimination, and with a spacious mind, a sign of a great teacher and a leader. There was little ceremony or ritual, with the dominant theme of her teaching being meditation practice, the manifestation of spiritual investigation. We studied a lot about the Abhidhamma, and bringing constant awareness throughout the actions of our daily lives. Anagarika was definitely a pioneering nun of the Theravada tradition in Canada. She was an inspiring example of one woman's ability to put aside her own cultural upbringing and embrace wholeheartedly a non-Western system of values, ideas, and practices. She was dedicated to the Dhamma, to the life of renunciation, and she was committed to her own personal spiritual practice, meditation, and Dhamma study. Anagarika Dhammadina would spend intensive periods in solitary retreat, studying the Abhidhamma and practicing many different meditation methods. Her profound insights and approaches to practice were shared with a freshness that seemed to come right out of her own experiences. She became an authority on meditation practices and the Abhidhamma. Her devotion to reaching liberation set an example and encouraged others to practice and follow the Buddha's teachings. Along with Dhammadina's integrity and humble nature, she had great leadership abilities. She gave individual instruction. She helped to create and nurture study and meditation groups, and she assisted in the establishment of Buddhist societies. Anagarika Dhammadina was instrumental in guiding students to set up and establish societies that would promote Buddhist meditation and practice. Under her guidance, the Calgary Theravada Meditation Society was established in 1976. Dhamma, a Theravadan Buddhist society, was founded in British Columbia in 1979. And the Light of the Dhamma was incorporated in Alberta in 1984. Buddhist centers were built because of her encouragement and wisdom, and she provided the confidence and the advice needed to establish the Buddhist Vihara Society in BC. This resulted in the first Theravada Buddhist Vihara in Vancouver, and there were later 2 other societies that were established. Dhammadina would organize, coordinate, and lead meditation retreats. She had the ability of doing everything at once, directing the kitchen, feeding the animals, writing up the schedule, giving instruction and personal interviews, guiding the sessions. Her teachings were earthy, refreshing, direct, and her wisdom and mature judgment, she was able to discern what ultimately was beneficial for each individual's spiritual growth. She normally orientated her retreat instructions to mindfulness, or the sati techniques, as taught by the Burmese insider Vipassana tradition. She was also well-versed in concentration practices leading to samatha, and had taught many different techniques. She had many students, myself being one, who've gone on to continue teaching. Many of us are now leading retreats both locally and internationally, teaching Dhamma, establishing study courses, and there have been some who have taken ordination. These are 2 of the students that have taken ordination in the Theravadan tradition. Her presence continues to be felt throughout Canada, and it is witnessed through the maturing of Buddhism in Canada. An increasing number of lives have been illuminated by the wise tradition she came to know, to love, and to share. Dhammadina made a number of trips in search of Buddhist scholars and meditation teachers, and she would invite them to Canada. She wanted to continue with her own practice, and this in turn gave us the opportunity to study and practice with the most skilled and trained Theravadan monastics. As an example, it was at her suggestion that I invite the late Venerable Ayya Khema to Canada to lead a meditation retreat in 1987. Ayya Khema was one of the founding members of Sakyadhita, and she had participated in the first conference in Bodh It was at that time that she asked me to be the Canadian representative, and that is still carrying on today. This introduction to so many eminent teachers has been an immense gift to all of her students and to those who continue to live and share the Dhamma. Dhammadina embraced Buddhist practice very seriously, and I appreciated her willingness to share and teach the Dhamma. She was a powerful spiritual teacher who was loved and esteemed by her students. I have heard that the role of a teacher is one who can awaken the heart, and this Dhammadina definitely did. She showed us how to combine life in the modern world with serious Buddhist practice, which in my opinion is significant for the future of Buddhism, particularly in Canada. It was through her own wholehearted cultivation of sila, samadhi, and panya, her guidance, her leadership, her role modeling, and her tireless efforts to share the Dhamma that has been beneficial for so many of us. She definitely influenced and helped establish a Theravadan Buddhist presence in the Western world. Anagarika was my friend, she was my teacher, and I hold her dearly in my heart. She passed away quietly in 1990 after surgical complications from a dual hip replacement. I would just like to finish with a quote from the Dhammapada. It says, "Associate with good friends who are energetic and whose livelihood is pure. Let them be amiable and be correct in their conduct. Then frequently feeling much joy, they will make the end of dukkha. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Shirley. Our next speaker is one of our Vietnamese sisters, and I know she will forgive my pronunciation. Thich Nhat Hanh is the abbess of Tay Lin Temple in Hue, Vietnam.